shit, we're back on our normal routine. We're back to the Katie Robert era, which is going to be just this month, and then we're off it again until May. Very sad. Very sad. Because this series is only 2 books. Even though there was 7 planned, and there was a scheduled release for the 3rd book.
7?
Yeah, it's about 7 brothers, so it's about each of the brothers. I'll talk about it, because they're connected to the other 2 Katie Roberts series that I've read or am in the middle of, and one of them is the one that we read for the podcast. So I gotta talk about it. It is so interconnected, I started screaming because I was looking stuff up. But, because, like, the part of the reason why it's so interconnected is the 3rd one that was never released. But I did look up why it was never released, and basically she explained that she has too much on her table right now to release it, so it's on a definite hold. Which makes sense, because looking at her writing schedule and publishing schedule makes me want to die on the inside. So yeah.
You know what you should do?
What? It's not NaNoWriMo.
You should, like, I don't know, write your book. And so you can write all the other ones that are made specifically for me, but they're not even made because you won't do the thing for me. You don't love me. You won't write the books that are so me coded. That's so mean and rude, Bestie. That's like, I can't believe you would do that. What if I die before I get to read your beautiful, beautiful books?
Well,
Wow.
therefore you have to live.
Well,
how else
I
will
don't know
you
if I
read?
can ever get promises.
How else will you read the one about the mortuary assistant who
I'm gonna
sees
get you. I'm in your
dead
walls.
people, and then the dead people try to set her up with their families, like surviving family members and whatnot.
Me and
The way it was supposed to be a
Macaroni and
horror, but it
Cheese
became a
are in your
rom-com.
walls. We are in your walls together, and I think a macaroni and cheese is far worse than so, you know.
Mm. Um, Hello, I am Flower, aka Rose. If you hear things in the background, there is a sister and a Bella dog in the room. Bella dog's really cute though, so I accept her. She's just being a little sleepy baby. And also I took off my fake nails, and so now I have basic. It said red, but it's more burgundy, but whatever. Nails. Very sad.
How would you know? You're colorblind.
Pearl told me.
I don't know if I trust the way Pearl sees color either. Thank you very
I
much.
will send you a picture of my nails, and you can tell me what color they are. If my camera can focus on my goddamn hand. No, apparently it says, no, fuck you, bitch. Okay, fine, apparently you get a really blurry photo of my hand because it's focusing on something else. I don't know what. It's fine. It's not like I have a history of ghosts in this corner or anything.
I mean, it's definitely red, but it's still very pink at the same time.
Yeah. You want to do your intro?
I'm Fish, aka Stingray. I don't have any fun fact besides the fact I plugged in my earbuds. It still works on one side, but Rose couldn't hear me, so and I'm not in the closet, so we're back to square one.
Very sad. Very sad. So this is very much a stream conscious
We
podcast.
need to redact its sponsorship so bad, bestie.
True. Very similar to how we talk to each other on a daily basis. On today's episode, we have the first book in the Sabine Valley series, Abel, of which there are 2 books out, so they're going to be both this month. And then we go on to non-Katie Robert erotica until May. The next Katie Robert slated is in May. Because
I really like the cover for this one, by the way.
I know, right? You said that, yeah. My a birth month, I figured what's more me coded than just Katie Robert and Legendborn. So that's planned for that. Yes, I did schedule. I meant to schedule only through February, and then I scheduled all the way through June and half of July. We don't need to talk about it. I'm completely sane. Um, So, content warnings first. We have sexual content, violence, gun violence, fire and fire injury, death of parent, murder, child abuse, domestic abuse, death.
Fun.
I thought you'd enjoy it if I read the synopsis to you because it's just real funny. Um, and then I will explain the connection of this series to the Wicked Villain series and the Dark Olympus series. Right? Okay. So Seven Brothers, Seven Brides, a Revenge, 7 years in the making. 8 years ago, my family was betrayed by those closest to us. Now we're back in Sabine Valley, staging our return during the Feast of Lamaz, where I step into the ring and ensure we're given what we're owed, who we're owed. Our enemies send their 7 best warriors against me. With each victory, I win a bride for each of my brothers. And for me, I'm saving the best for last. My bride is Harlow, the woman claimed by the man I used to call friend, the one responsible for our exile, Eli. And if Eli has a problem with it, well then I'll take him as my bride too. All the better to enact my revenge and bring Sabine Valley to its knees. When I
Yes, that's
when
all.
when I read that for the first time in like probably 3 months, this morning when I went to listen to the book and I read that he makes Eli his bride as well, I went, ooh, ooh. Yeah, it gets a little fruity, and by little I mean they do obligatory threesome at least like 3 times and in multiple different directions. It's a fun time. Uh, okay, so the connections, right? Uh, we have in Queen Takes Rose. I believe it is the last book in the Wicked Villain series, right? Malone talks about how her sisters were attacked and all this stuff, and she wasn't sure about them, and it was at this event and whatnot. That is the event. That event is what starts this book. And how like her nieces and nephew are like under control of those people for a year and whatnot. Is how it's connected. And then also Cohen, the third brother, because they're all alphabetical. The mother named them alphabetically, and whatnot. Very Bridgerton, but in the proper order is how it goes. Cohen is Beast X from the Beast.
I love how I know some of this lore because I read the last book. You know the one.
Yeah. Um. So yeah, that's the X that Beast thought was dead, but actually isn't. Is Cohen. Um.
I love interconnecting lore.
Yeah. And Cohen is described as like the most um grisly of the brothers. And his bride happens to be like this seeming sweet girl and all this stuff. So yeah. That's fun. Uh, now, to start off this book starts with basically Abel and his 6 brothers going to this meeting where like all the 3 houses in the city uh meet up once a year to hash out stuff, and then so like you can attack each other, and then whoever wins gets the specific thing or wins the specific argument, that type of stuff, right? Um so he shows up, and it's kind of like this thing where we don't learn exactly what happened until a bit into the book, but I'm just going to explain it now. Basically, when I believe Abel was like 26, 27, and Eli was 28, which is the same age as the youngest brother, right? Um, there was a coup from the 3 factions now against their family, their father, who run ran one of the main factions, right? It has the Amazons, who is where Malone is from, right? She's part of the Amazons. And then there are the Mystics, who are basically poisoners and whatnot. And then there's Eli's family, and then there's the Abel's family, which was the Paynes. And so basically, what happened is the 3 sectors got together and defeated the family by Eli's father killing Abel's father. Which made after everything, Eli's family took control of the Payne sector as well. So like they have like half the sector, I think, or something like that, because he was the one who actually killed the main guy, right? And so, yeah, that's a big thing. And then, what happened is that the Mystics then drugged all the people in the house to put them to sleep, and then they set the building on fire, burning all of them alive, and the seven brothers barely escaped. And they're kind of pissed after the fact. They were on the run for like 8 years, and so they're like back to take it back and all this fun stuff. And the main point of that is defeating Eli, because Eli's father died 3 years ago, and so he now runs the sector that they originally had, right? And Eli and him were like best friends and all this stuff. And so the plan is to beat Eli and take over his sector, and then yeah.
I'm not absorbing most of this. I can't lie to you, but I heard that. Don't worry.
Yeah, okay. Um, there's other stuff that I'm probably forgetting, but like it's not that big of a deal. Um, but yeah, there's basically the whole purpose of doing this to get the brides is that basically when you have a bride, the whole entire theory is that you have this person for a year. You only have to bang once the first night to make it to consummate it, right? This fake marriage type thing. Um and then basically the way it works is that that bride lives with them for the year. And so then in theory, because you like usually take someone higher up in the family of like the factions and whatnot, you can't like take the ruler, which is why they took three of them are the three children of the leader of the Amazons. I think it's her daughters and son. So like that's why you take like the heirs, and then they can't attack you for a year, because like why would they attack you? Because then it would also kill their own children and whatnot. Um, and that would be issues. And so basically for a year the plan is while they have their children in lockdown, to make up a plan to get revenge and kill everyone else and take over the whole entire city, right? So Abel takes Harlow, Eli's kind of fiance, kind of. It is very obvious from the first time in her POV, right after he calls her name and she becomes his bride, that she takes it as her opportunity to leave Eli, because she is not happy in this relationship. She hasn't been for a while. He never really recognized who she is. Some basic background about her that we don't learn for a bit is basically while her family lived in the Pain sector while Abel's father was in charge, and he did not do like a good job on keeping an eye on his people or anything like that, and keeping his people safe. And so because of that, she went through a lot of child abuse for years, until one day she stabbed her dad to death. And
Valid.
yeah, and then shortly after that, she meets Eli. She tells him what she did, because he's like at this point, I don't know if he was just the heir of the sector, because his dad had already killed Abel's dad. So either he was the heir of the sector or he owned the sector. And so she goes to tell him, and he's like, okay, valid. Uh, and then they end up together. But he very much is the mindset of like keeping her locked away in a tower to make sure she's safe, to protect her so she doesn't have to go through anything like that again, and very much on the mindset of, hey, my super hot girlfriend straight up murdered someone and can handle herself. I shouldn't like keep her locked up. I should let her live her life. And so she feels very suffocated in this relationship, and he has not realized this, right? I'm laughing because it gets so weird so fast. So Eli does not want to let her go, because he wants to protect her, especially because in his mind, he's all like, of course they have to consummate it, and she can't choose to say no, so like, oh my god, Abel's gonna do this to her, I promise to protect her no matter what. And so he goes, I will fight Abel, and if I win, I get to keep Harlow. And then Abel's like, fine, but if I win, I get to take your whole entire sector, and you become my bride as well. And it's agreed upon. It's this whole thing. They fight. It's a pretty long fight. Abel straight up bodies Eli. Almost like beats him to death. It's a good time. But he wins. So obviously both of them are his brides.
LOL.
I know, right? Marlo very pissed off immediately because she's like, as he's making this deal with Abel, she's like, dude, shut the fuck up, don't, because she knows that if Eli loses, then their whole entire sector is in danger, because then Abel can just kill all their people, and she can't do anything about it. But if it was just her, and she, like, was just taken, and then Eli was left in charge of their area, right, she could have calmed him down enough, or kept him, or stopped his plans from killing people, and hurting people. And so she's, like, really pissed off, because he ruined all her plans, and also fucked up their whole entire system and whatnot, just to keep her safe, because she's the pretty princess, and she's like, bitch, shut the fuck up. It's very funny. So they go back to their compound, they hang out, have a good time. By that, I mean, Abel has Harlow handcuff Eli to a chair, and this is when she pulls him out of the dresser he told her to get them out of. He's all like, or she's all like, this is kinky, fun times. Bro, don't make that face.
I wish I could have saw the face for real. That would have been funny.
But yeah, basically they're at like this warehouse where they're staying at, and then tomorrow they'll go to Eli's place and take everyone out and put their people in charge and all this stuff. So the plan is that, or no, they're gonna do that night, but first they gotta consummate all of the brides and whatnot, so basically all these men are fucking all these other people at the same time in this one building. And the way it works, with this specific group, is that Abel
Is it like separate rooms, or are they all in a one big room? Like,
they all have separate rooms, don't worry. They have their own rooms. But basically the way it works is that Abel instantly realizes that there's a lot more to Harlow, because she's snapping back to him instantly. She's all like, if you try to touch me without my consent, I will literally cut off your balls. And he's like, ooh, I love you. Instantly. Which valid. Me too. She's a redhead, so like, me too. Where was I? Okay, so like, how it goes down is that Abel is like, you can just like lay on the bed and pretend it's not happening if you want. Marlo's like, sure, whatever. Gets naked, lays in the bed, and then he instantly goes for a licky lick.
kill yourself.
The way I paused just because I knew you wanted to say that. So she's all like,
I need you to say literally anything else. Like, there's so many things you could say.
Yeah.
I don't know, but like, I thought of macaroni and cheese. Macaroni and cheese in my bed.
I'm jealous. But basically that happens, and then he bangs her, forcing her to look at Eli at the same time. She orgasms twice, and then afterwards, he goes to Eli, and he offers Eli to either give him a blowjob, or he fucks him in the ass. And so, while still handcuffed to the chair, Eli gives him a blowjob. And then, they go to Eli's sector. Eli tells everyone to stand down and to leave, but it doesn't really work really fast. And then instantly, also at this point, Marlo's just wearing Abel's shirt. And she's like, it's like a whole thing when she puts it on that she recognizes that, like, it's a pretty big shirt, so it, like, fits her pretty well, like, it goes pretty far down and whatnot, but still, like, a statement piece and whatnot. And she tells everyone, to stay down in a proper way that makes everyone listen, and Eli's like, what? And then, they go into, so, like, for a while now, their relationship hasn't been well, so Marlo has her own separate room from Eli. Right? And so they go, into Abel's room, or not Abel's room, Eli's room, and then, Abel's like, get the things you need, and she goes to her own room and gets her stuff, and he's like, okay. But he instantly realizes that Marlo, is not like a pretty princess you lock up. She is very smart. She's politically savvy. There we go. She knows what she's doing. Um, and so yeah. Basically, there's also a whole thing to make Eli jealous. I think this is still when they're at the warehouse. He also like bangs her in the bathroom while she's taking a shower. Uh, because he told Eli that if he doesn't keep his mouth shut and doesn't try anything, uh, or try stuff and whatnot, then he will take it out on Marlo. And so then he's all like, fuck you, Abel, how dare you do this? You're just like your dad, all this stuff. And so he's like, cool, I'm gonna go take this out on Marlo. And he's like, no, I didn't mean that. And he's like,
If someone told me besides my mother, if someone besides my mother told me that I acted like my father, murder suicide.
That's kind of like the whole point, yeah. And so basically, he's all like, you can't call my bluff and then get angry when I actually go do it. And so he goes to the bathroom. Marlo's taking a shower, and then they just have a conversation, and then they bang on the sink. And he instantly recognizes how smart she is and how he should have used her much more to be like how Eli should have used her more for her brains and whatnot. And it scares her because she's like, shit, someone sees me, right? And he makes a deal that like they tried to like he's all like, if you let me bang you,
Hear
I'll
me
do all this.
out. It's actually not that hard to pay attention to people.
I know, right? He's all like, if you let me bang you, I'll make sure to keep people safe. And she's like, I'm not. No, we can continue to have sex when I want to, but we're like, I'm not using sex to get what I want. You recognize that I'm smart, so I'll give you my intellect. And you keep my people safe. And he's like, fine, valid. Um, and whatnot. And then he's like, after the year, we can do this, have a good time. And then after the year, you can go off on your own, or you can stay and have a place here. And I'll give you all the resources you need if you decide to leave. It's up to you. Good times, fun times, right? And so basically, at the place or whatever, it's very complicated, but basically, there's a lot of the other brothers, fighting about keeping Eli around, but they can't kill him anymore, because then if they kill him, it's against the bride contract stuff, and so then the other people can kill them, so they gotta keep him alive. One of the brothers does hint that they can like totally make it look like an accident, and it's fine. But Abel's like, no, I'm gonna keep him around for a little while. Because when they were friends for like 2 decades, he always had a thing for him, and now he gets to bang him. So like he's all like, and now at least I get to what I want. And also he realized that when the oral stuff was happening, Eli is kind of into him too.
LOL for me.
I know, right?
Bestie, I missed you.
Thanks. Did you miss Katie Robert?
Yeah.
Did I also I forgot to bring up in this that the voice actor for Abel is the same voice actor for Hades in Learn My Lesson. I'm pretty sure it's Hades. So good times. Okay, so like the next day, in the compounds, right? They like during that first night they set up all their own people, all their own security, all this stuff. Abel very quickly realizes, it does not take him long to realize, because after like a day of Eli not being handcuffed to the chair, he lets Marlo decide whether or not to keep him handcuffed to the chair, and Marlo's like, I don't know, because you haven't been very nice to me. And then he's all like, I don't know what you're talking about. You're just fucking him and all the stuff and trying to get what you want. She's like, I'm trying to protect our people. You were a fucking dumbass. And he was like, well, I'm sorry, but I didn't want you to get hurt. And she's like, well, look at me now. And then they angry fuck. And then Abel comes in and sees it, and he's all like, hardy har har har, joke's on me, right? And he comes in, and then Eli is talking to them both, and then very quickly gets angry because Abel makes comments that like, I don't care if you two fuck, but like I'm still gonna come in and fuck one of you whenever I want. Like, as long as it's consensual, I'm gonna fuck you too. And so Abel and Marlo go to bang in her room, cause she like is upset still and whatnot. And Eli's like, oh, so you're just sloppy seconds, and basically, degrades her a little bit. She gets very angry. And so instead of instantly banging, right, she goes to, like, shower, and Abel, like, brushes her hair for her gently because she's, like, angry, so she's almost ripping out her hair and whatnot, and he, like, gently brushes her hair, and, he's, like, very gentle, and then he's all like, okay, you wanna fuck? And she's like, yeah! Because it helps her mind go numb and whatnot, from the anger and sadness and whatnot. Cool, fun times. The next day, he puts Marlo in charge of all the other brides and making sure none of them kill each other because they're all from, like, the three different sectors, or the two other sectors. So, like, it's, like, kind of an issue where they could try to kill each other and all this stuff. So she tries to get along with them and make them get along with each other. It doesn't work for a bit, but it's fine. And make it so they don't, like, kill the brothers, because Abel has agreed that if no one gets hurt in this whole entire thing, then he will make sure no civilians really get hurt in all the attacks. And then he parades both Marlo and Eli around the street to, like, the commoners who, like, are in charge of making sure all the proper supplies go through the city and whatnot. And so that the commoners who are in charge of that know that he's in charge of them now, and all this stuff. It's very complicated. It's a lot of political stuff that's happening. Also, the other bride's hangout room is Marlowe's library, and when he tells her that, she says, they better not fuck up my books or I will skin you, and he says something around the lines of, I love you. Like, he's like, yeah, makes sense, I'm down.
Yeah, you sent that quote to me. I was like, yeah.
Oh, he says, you say the sweetest things. Yep. It was very sweet. And so, yeah, and then, after that whole meeting with the other brides, like, she is sitting in her library reading, and Eli sneaks in with the secret passageways. He's also, like, communicating with his security people through the secret passageways, right? And, like, it seems like they have plans set up. And so he goes to her, to be like, hey, I'm sorry that I wasn't level-headed that night, and so totally fucked us over. And she's, like, upset that he's not apologizing for literally degrading her and whatnot. Oh my god, my puppy ears are so cute. There's, like, one ear just straight up on the side of her head. And she's asleep. She a baby. Anyways, so, like, he's all like, I'm sorry for that, and she's like, yeah, whatever. And they agree to somewhat get along and talk with each other, and Marlo's gonna continue to, use what she can to get Abel to at least, make sure that people don't die, that don't need to die, and whatnot. And so, yeah, that's happening, at least 2 times during all this is happening, Abel and Eli have more fun times by themselves without Marlo. It's fine. We don't need to talk about it. There's a lot of fighting between them because, like, Eli's is hiding the fact that of, like, what some stuff happened when his dad died, but, like, Abel won't listen to him for obvious reasons and whatnot. And then there's some threesomes. And I'm just skipping through the threesomes.
I
You don't
want
need
a
to know the
Taco Bell
details.
biscuit.
Do you want to know the details of the threesomes? Because I'm fine just skipping over them.
No, I want a Cracker Barrel biscuit, specifically from Cracker Barrel, because they taste different than other places and they're really, really good. Enter feeling. I can't. Why can't my brain no work? Wicker King Cracker Barrel thing here. You know the thing, bestie.
um, yeah. So there's threesomes. The first threesome is Abel's attempt to get Eli to apologize to Marlo, but instead of talking, because he recognizes when they talk, it's when they just fight. It's with sex, right? And then I think that's the one where, like, if he makes Marlo have enough orgasms with his mouth, um then he will fuck him from behind. And this is when we learn that I think this is the one where we learn he's all like he tries to go slow at first. He's like, I'm gonna go hard and fast, and he's like, okay. And so he like tests the waters, and Eli's like completely fine with it. And we learn it's because there may be a thing where Marlo likes to peg him, so he has experience. The end. I could not laugh at that. So yeah, then there's another threesome, but it's like them all admitting that they kind of care for each other, and they're better. At this one, she's in bed with the two of them. They start sleeping in the same bed. Eli tries to make it so she sleeps every other night with them switching on and off. And Abel's all like, no, she's mine. You can join us if you want. So he's like, okay, fine, I will. And then she is like, okay, whatever. And she starts having a conversation with Eli one night after he meets up with the security people on secret, but he feels like he's being watched. Coffee is by Cohen. And he tells the security people not to do anything because he's got it handled, but he's worried about them and whatnot, actually doing things without his permission, right? Goes to bed, and she's there awake, and so they start having a conversation about how they're kind of both wrong, but like he worked so hard to protect her and all this stuff and didn't realize what type of person she was at the time. And that was kind of like their main issue in the relationship, and realized that with Abel there, like they're able to communicate better because he like basically he understands both of them in a way that the other one can't, and whatnot. And so he agrees to like try to get along with Abel and whatnot. Um, and Abel's like awake for this. All he's just laying there in bed. And he's like, yeah, I also agree, I guess. And then that's when they have the third threesome, but it's like, or second threesome, but it's like, as in they're both, all three of them are together as a couple now, like it's a throuple now. Good times. There's also a thing where she gets able to agree to not mess up with any of the stuff that Eli set up in the city with making sure all the civilians get free food. Good times. That the security in the place is all good. In the city is still good because he's like brought down domestic abuse by like 70% or something like that. And all this stuff. And when she tells him that, Abel is surprised because that was plans that Abel made when he planned to kill his own father and take over. After the night that his father abused Cohen. It was like the first time he turned against his own sons. And so he's like, I'm gonna kill him and I'm gonna take over. And so after their second threesome, the next morning, she tells both of them to like, she tells Eli in the bathroom afterwards that he should try to talk and tell Abel the truth. And he's all like, he's not gonna listen. Like, he went through all this trauma for it because of all this stuff. Like, it doesn't matter. I still helped out. Like, it's not a big deal. Like, all this stuff. So afterwards she goes to Abel and she's like, just listen to him, please, and kisses him. And he's like, okay. And then she goes and does stuff with the brides, making sure that they don't murder people, and that they can still, like, do their jobs, and whatnot from the place, right? And then it's so complicated, and I just read all of this. And then basically Eli and Abel have a conversation over coffee where Eli tells him the truth that the reason why he helped his dad kill Abel's dad is because he didn't want Abel to go through the trauma of killing his own father. And he didn't know about the drugging and burning of the building until it was already done, and he tried to like run and save them, but like it was too late, and didn't know they escaped until later. And then he could have tried to find them, but like his dad's people tried so hard and never could find them because they didn't leave any trail, and so he didn't think there was any chance. And even if he did, what would Abel do? And Abel's like, I probably would have killed you, yeah. And all this stuff, and then Abel's like, well, your dad wasn't much better. He's like, no, but I did plan to kill him afterwards. He's like, yeah, but for like 3 years you didn't. And we learned that Eli's dad was very paranoid after that someone was going to kill him to take over both territories because he had the most territories. And so he eventually suffocated his father to death in his sleep. right?
Dang, we
Uh,
out here really killing all the fathers for real.
I know, right?
Some valor.
So he eventually did that so that he could save the people, because like very much warlordy type uh hostile takeover type stuff going on. Um, so that he could save the people in general, and set up all the systems that he made with Abel, and whatnot. So Abel trusts him and recognizes that, like, hey, maybe, like, yes, he had a part in it, but, like, he didn't do everything. It wasn't all his fault. Uh, and he does feel bad for it, so, like, all this stuff. And then, Cohen tells Abel that he saw Eli talking to the security people, in the secret passageways and all this stuff. And he's like, you know what, it's fine. It's been 3 days. It's been 3 or 4 days, and he's already in his head, like, I love these people, right? Um, and so, he goes to the meeting with the,
Oh, it's normal in books when they're like, I love you after 3 or 4 days, but when I do it or say it, it's a problem.
um, so he goes to the people who are in charge of getting, like, supplies into the city and whatnot. They were like, come back
When
to
I
me.
do it, I'm mentally ill. Like, okay.
I think he's mentally ill too. It's just he's rich, so it's okay. Um, you know. But basically the whole thing was like after the initial meeting where he's like, I'm in charge now. They like had 2 days to like decide whether or not they were gonna agree. They did put like spy cameras and whatnot in their place so like they can see what their answers are, which they already knew was like, yes, okay, we accept that you're here, and we will help you out. So he goes to that, which is when Eli wakes up from a night with all three of them, right? And tells Marlo, "Hey, I just realized that, my head of security, she is kind of going a little crazy, and she's gonna try to kill Abel. I'm pretty sure. Like I'm not sure if she's gonna like stop or anything, like I told her to." And Marlo's instantly like, "Oh, she's gonna kill Abel at this meeting because it's like one of the rare times he's gonna be out in the open and she can do it." So she starts freaking out, and so she's like, "Okay, you go find him and tell him that you had no idea that this was gonna happen, and that warn him and whatnot." And she goes to tell the second brother Broderick so like they can keep the place under lockdown, right? And then when he goes to find Abel, he learns from the youngest brother that Abel has already got to the meeting, so they go after him together. And they see the head of security walking towards Abel with a gun. Abel already knows this is gonna happen. He like has an idea, right? So he's prepared, but then he turns around and sees Eli running for him. And he's like, "Eli, stop!" And Eli's like, "No, no, no, no!" And so he jumps in front of the bullet and takes it directly in his back. And I don't know how he's not paralyzed after this. Trust me.
Um,
Yeah. I think it's Cohen who kills the head of security lady, and the other people there. And then the youngest brother has some medical training, so like he tries to help out, but he's like, it's pretty far in there, and like it hasn't hit an artery, therefore he's not dead. But like if we try to move him, he's gonna die, and there's nothing I can do about it. But the granddaughter of the head of the like moving things through the city there is a surgeon, one of the best in the city. So she's like, "Hey, I'll save him if you do this for my dad or my granddad." And he's like, instantly, like, "Yes, save him." So she takes him in to do surgery and whatnot. And then Marlo shows up. He calls the people to get Marlo. Basically, they did try to attack the base as well, to poison all the food, but they instantly stopped them, and they didn't get any of the poison in the food. But since this poison in the food was the plan, that means the Mystics have something to do with it, and they don't care about their own people. They're just gonna kill everyone, if they have to, which is a big deal. Don't worry, nothing comes of that in this book. And I don't know if it comes of it in the second one, and I won't know if anything comes to it in any of the later books because they're not out. So good times. But basically, she instantly storms into the building and talks to the guy who's in charge of all the stuff in the city and moving the items in the city, and it's like, okay, about that deal. That deal only works if Eli stays alive, and if he happens to die on the table, That deal's over, and if you try to purposely kill Eli to make it so the deal goes through, we will literally skin all of you alive and kill off your whole entire family. And he's all like, okay, sure. Glad to see that you finally found someone who accepts you for who you are. He's all like, hell yeah, queen. Like, he's all like, sure. We're glad someone finally sees that you're the badass that you are. They're already planning to keep him alive. He's doing pretty good. So the granddaughter comes in. Eli's alive. Apparently Marlo has a friend who is also a surgeon, but she's like low key crazy, so no one will hire her. So she comes and gets Eli to take him to like their base and keep him alive there and whatnot. But he's like alive and whatnot. He's all like, "I love you both," and they're like, "We love you too, but like don't do stupid shit." And I assume they're happily after. I don't know. That's it though. They end up going back to the place together and they're happy together. There's like 17 billion sex scenes throughout all of this that I did not explain any of it in detail. So like, be happy with that. But yeah, it was mostly political stuff with a little bit of sex sprinkled all throughout it. Good times.
I'm glad you didn't go into detail respectfully. And do you think it was a good balance?
It was a good balance. It's like one of my favorite type of cookies to bake. They are very sweet cookies, and so my sister and I learned like around the 10th time I made these cookies that they're better when you put a little bit of extra salt on them, right? And so if you think of the salt as the sex seeds, it's just it just a little sprinkling on the top that just makes it a really good book. I rated it 4 stars. Good times. Um, the end. They are a throuple together, and no one can take that away from them. Though I'm sure people will try in the later books.
Because people are lame.
Yes. But yeah, that's this whole entire book. It didn't take me a whole hour to describe the plot. Are you proud?
Yes, macaroni and cheese is so cute. Hold on. She's
So
so
is Bella
cute.
dog. Bella dog.
Look at the little face. Look at her little sleepy face. I have to see. There we go. Look at her little face.
Oh
A
my
little
goodness!
sleepy macaroni face.
Bella, no, don't get out of my bed, please. Bella, please, no. Come back. Come back. Come back. Come here. Come here. At least come here so the fish can see you.
I don't know why I started calling her macaroni and cheese, but now I can't stop saying it.
I believe in you. My dog went down the stairs, so you don't get to see her.
It's okay, I have a macaroni and cheese.
Yes, I rated this book 4 stars. I was thinking before I started it this morning when I was making my first cup of coffee that some of my favorite Katie Roberts, because like I've read the first in the Monster Smut series that I don't remember the name of, the one with the dragon with 2 eggplant emojis, right? Um, uh, but my favorite Katie Roberts happens to be the one that is like a good mix of the erotica romance stuff, where it's like healthy healing, emotionally from past stuff, and also like finding your match and this stuff, but also political drama happening at the same time. Right, I think that's why Neon Gods is like my favorite, or maybe because I'm just fucking crazy. Uh, and so I was thinking about that, and then I started this one, and it is a lot of political drama, very heavy in political drama, with just some sex things thrown in there, and I'm just like, hell yeah. Good times. Did you send me another Kikaroni? Oh my goodness. Yes, it is a small baby. Small baby. Oh.
No thoughts, just macaroni and cheese.
Every time you say that, I think of how in the Hyde episode I called the character macaroni and cheese.
Yes, because I asked you to and you love me.
Yes. And then I think about how in Heartstopper season 2 episode I just called Nick's dad French Papa the whole time. That was also
Yeah,
when the
you did that
museum
all
thing
the
started.
time.
Because, like, the museum thing is very important.
I don't have the energy to do all that today, not with you and you there. macaroni and cheese. She's so cute. Look
I
at her
said,
little face. Her
I said
little
to,
face.
you know the meme that's like, there's only one thing women want, and it starts with a P and ends with an S meme, right? I saw one, and it was, the answer was potatoes. It's the Lord of the Rings one, the one that Sam says, I know you don't get the joke, but other people may. I sent it to Bestie, because she's seen Lord of the Rings now, and she said, no, the real answer is puppies. Which is valid. All this woman wants is puppies. They're so cute. Oh, my shoulder just popped. Okay, do you have anything else to say for this episode so I can go edit it?
Macaroni and cheese.
Oh my god, I'm just gonna make the description of this episode macaroni and cheese.
Okay.
I hope you're happy with your macaroni and cheese.
I am. She's so cute. Love her.
You love her when she's not eating you.
Yeah.
When she's
I
eating
think
you,
she
you
knows
send
I
me.
don't feel good, so she's being sweet.
When she's eating you, I get voice messages of you screaming in pain.
She's been good today.
That's good. She's gotten so big.
I know.
She used to be so tiny.
Like, she's still tiny baby, but she's big tiny baby.
Like, you could fit her in, like, the palm of your hand before, I feel like.
Yeah, no, she was the size of my hand, and now she's the size of my arm.
That's not as big as my cat ever got. She never was a big cat. She was very tiny.
Well, she's only a few months old, so she was like 5 months. I don't know.
I don't know.
She was only a few weeks when we got her. No, she was like a month old, but she was malnourished, so I don't know.
Anyways, I'm gonna end this now.
When we got her. Okay,
You cuddle your cat.
I am.
Okay. Love you.
Love you.
I think you're saying that to the cat, not me.
Maybe to you, don't worry.
Okay.